In the heart of Zongnanhai, there was a vault. It wasn't guarded by men, but by silence. Inside it sat a file that moved only 3 times. Each time, someone disappeared. But the strangest part, the file didn't just hold information. It held a memory Xi Jinping was trying to forget. And when it was finally sealed, 1 page was missing. This is the story of the document that changed China's highest office. From the inside out. The file that only moved at night. They called it Crimson File Number 9. It wasn't stored in any regular archive. It didn't exist in party databases. And no one knew who compiled it. Except that it only moved after midnight. The file was kept in Vault 203, a lead-lined, biometric sealed drawer embedded deep within Zongnanhai's eastern annex. The room had no name, just a plaque marked with a symbol, 2 intersecting circles like eclipsed moons. Only one person could authorize entry: Xi Jinping. And he only did so 3 times in his entire leadership. Each visit happened in total silence. No aides, no record, no surveillance footage. Only one thing changed afterward. Someone disappeared. The first opening came in 2015. She left a high-level security briefing just past 2 a.m. and walked alone through the corridor to Vault 203. When he emerged 43 minutes later, the Minister of Energy, Zhou Weihan, resigned unexpectedly for health reasons. 2 months later, Zhou's entire family vanished from state records. No one asked questions. But Xi's private secretary was later overheard muttering. He only read 2 pages. The second opening occurred in 2018. Xi had just returned from an extended summit with regional commanders. His demeanor quiet, more withdrawn than usual. He walked straight to the annex. This time, he stayed longer. Inside, witnesses say, he didn't take the file out. He brought something with him. The next morning, a prominent cybersecurity advisor named Lin Ruo was stripped of all positions. Her research facility was shut down within 48 hours. She has not been seen since. The rumor: she had developed a surveillance model that accidentally flagged Crimson File Number 9 as non-existent but active. In other words, her AI caught something it shouldn't have. The third and final opening happened in 2021. She entered the annex at exactly 3:33 a.m. He looked older, according to the night guard. He didn't carry anything in. But when he exited, he was shaking. That same day, she held a private meeting with only 2 people: a military strategist named Gu Zheng, and a historian, known only by a pseudonym, Dr. Liu. That meeting lasted 5 hours. No notes, no transcript. When it was over, she ordered Vault 203 sealed. Not locked. Sealed. With industrial epoxy, weld plates, and biometric wipe. Crimson File Number 9 was no longer accessible. The strange part: 1 page from the file was missing. The folder, usually 128 pages thick, was logged as 127. And the last audit before sealing noted the absence in handwriting that matched none of Xi's known staff. Just a cryptic note left on a post-it. Returned to sender. The page that wasn't meant to be seen. For weeks after Vault 203 was sealed, rumors ran wild through Zongnanhai's inner corridors. Staff whispered of the missing page, a sheet allegedly left behind, intentionally or by mistake. No one had seen it. But everyone seemed to know what it was. A prediction. But not just a political forecast or a national risk scenario. This was something darker. A kind of personal prophecy, written in Xi's own hand. Yet in a style he no longer used. The handwriting was younger. Sharper strokes. Less guarded. Like it came from a version of Xi that hadn't yet learned to mistrust the future. The content: still classified, but fragments of its language began leaking. Phrases like, "If I vanish, it will be by choice. He wears my face, but not my voice. Burn page 9. Not file 9, page." The final sentence: After the third visit, return the author to the page. This terrified the party's inner circle. If she had written this years ago, how could he have predicted the exact number of times the file would be opened? And more importantly, why mention a version of himself that wasn't him? Speculation grew around the idea of a mirror double, a theoretical construct discussed once in a restricted symposium on cognitive cloning. The notes from that session had been destroyed, except for one diagram titled Executive Persistence Through Fragmented Continuity. The theory went that a leader could remain in power not through physical presence, but through self-encoded behavioral scripts implanted into successors or synthetic doubles. The missing page, then, was interpreted by some not as a warning, but a handoff. As if she was saying, "I've gone as far as I can. Now someone else must wear this face." But she didn't resign. He didn't disappear. He only grew more silent. And the inner staff began to notice. His speeches became colder. His cadence changed. Even his silence felt off. Then, in early 2022, one of Xi's longtime translators, Ms. Hu Jinyu, reported something strange. She claimed that during a closed-door summit, she had mispronounced his own birthplace. Just once. Just briefly. But to her, it wasn't a mistake. That wasn't him, she said. Or it wasn't all of him. The face that learned to forget. They say power changes people. But what if it doesn't change who you are? Just which version of you gets to survive? By mid-2022, Xi's closest advisors had begun keeping two sets of notes. One for the Xi they knew, and one for the Xi they saw. The second Xi was quieter. Still decisive, still composed, but with an uncanny edge, like a man recalling memories he didn't live. It started with gestures. He stopped using his left hand to emphasize points, something he'd done since the early 2000s. His walk shifted, slightly shorter strides, less heel pressure. And then, in one late-night policy revision meeting, he paused mid-sentence and asked, "What happened to the man who used to sit here?" There was no one missing. No one had ever sat in that chair. But the question wasn't rhetorical. He waited for an answer. That night, a classified intelligence report landed on a single desk deep inside the Zongnanhai Analytic Division. It was titled, Concord Variation, Behavioral Drift in Executive Cognition. The report tracked anomalies in Xi's speech patterns, biometric rhythms, and micro-expressions across 3 years. The conclusion: a gradual divergence from himself. In other words, he was becoming someone else, or something else was becoming him. Theories spread. Some believed the missing page from Crimson File number 9 held the blueprint for a psychological clone, a persona crafted to absorb certain burdens she could no longer carry. Others whispered about deliberate forgetting protocols, a method by which top-level operatives would unlearn compromising knowledge through guided cognitive rewrites. One phrase from the sealed file kept surfacing: "Burn what I know, so what remains can lead." It wasn't poetic. It was literal. The Xi that stood before the party wasn't compromised. He was purified, but at a cost. One evening, during a routine photo op, a junior aide offered him a commemorative pin. She stared at it. The symbol, 2 intersecting circles, meant nothing to him. But it was the same icon etched on the vault of Crimson File number 9. He blinked, confused, and quietly asked, "Is this new?" The archive that refused to close. By late 2022, something strange began happening in Zongnanhai's archival system. Crimson File number 9 had been officially sealed, the vault locked and chemically bonded. But its digital shadow, metadata, references, internal routing tags, started showing signs of activity. Every 3 weeks, at exactly 4:11 a.m., a script triggered inside the party's off-grid documentation mirror. A simple action: verify file number 9 integrity. But the file had no digital twin, no verified checksum. It shouldn't have existed. And yet, the system kept asking about it, like a ghost refusing to stop knocking. Then came the glitch. A junior data archivist named Shen Tao accidentally accessed a subroutine labeled Xi Profile .03a Mirror State. It was buried in a restricted archive branch. Encrypted, but open, like someone had left the door ajar, just wide enough to tempt curiosity. Inside were behavioral logs. Not about decisions she had made, but decisions he might make under various emotional conditions. Like a simulation. Scenarios played out in graphs. Names appeared and vanished. In one log line, an outcome read, Xi option null. File 9 opened a fourth time. Recommend system freeze. That fourth opening never officially happened. But Shen noticed the timestamp. It was dated 1 week in the future. Suddenly, Vault 203's corridor was placed under surveillance again. Not to protect it, but to watch it. One night, the hallway lights dimmed for 7 seconds. That same second, a floor sensor registered weight in front of the sealed vault. No one had passed through the checkpoint. No video showed a figure. Yet the lock system reset. When guards arrived, the vault was still sealed. But a thin white card sat on the floor beneath it. Blank. Except for a handwritten note on the back. I remember now. Forensic analysis dated the ink to 3 days in the future. Panic rippled through the inner circle. Had she re-entered the vault without triggering physical entry logs? Or had someone else found a way in? Someone with his clearance? A new theory emerged. Crimson File Number 9 was no longer just a document. It had evolved into a kind of memory parasite. A mental structure so deeply encoded in Xi's leadership arc that it continued to play out, even after being erased. Not everyone agreed. But one command was issued that week. Do not speak of the file aloud. Refer to it only by gesture or timestamp. The term File 9 was replaced with a silent hand signal. A circle drawn midair. Closed with a tap to the chest. The signature that wasn't his. In February 2023, a diplomatic package arrived at Zongnanhai. It was expected, part of a routine data exchange with a European trade liaison. But inside the sealed envelope was an extra document. A scanned agreement marked confidential in 3 languages. At the bottom of page 7 was a handwritten signature. It read, Xi Jinping. Date, March 2024. But she hadn't signed anything that week. And March 2024 hadn't even happened yet. The ink wasn't printed, it was authentic. Analyzed under spectrometry, the ink composition matched Xi's personal calligraphy set. His pressure points, angle arcs, and stroke speed were all consistent with biometric templates. But one detail broke the illusion. The signature was missing a loop. A subtle curve that she had never omitted in decades. That curve wasn't decorative. It was deliberate. A private code only a few knew. She used it to confirm to himself that a document had been truly signed by him. And this one didn't have it. The file was quietly pulled. Only 5 staff saw it. All 5 were transferred by the end of the week. Then, something else emerged. A second document, this time from a deep archive registry of internal policy drafts, surfaced with the exact same flawed signature. It was dated from 2019. It too had no matching timestamp in the official ledger. 2 fake signatures. 4 years apart. Same error. The working theory. Whoever, or whatever, was mimicking Xi. Didn't forget everything. Just enough to pass. The final clue came not from the archives, but from an old surveillance terminal in Vault 203, which had long been disconnected. A technician doing routine dust checks found the screen faintly glowing. It displayed a simple message. File 9 closed. System preserved. Thank you for your memory. She was never told. Or perhaps, he was the one who typed it. The room was shut down. The vault was entombed. And a new protocol was quietly added to the Zongnanhai Leadership Guidebook. Do not open what you have already sealed. And never assume your signature is your own. If this story made you question what's real and what's erased, You're not alone. Xi Jinping's silence has always been strategic. But this time, it might have been protective. Thanks for watching this deep dive into the unspoken. Brain, don't forget to subscribe for more hidden stories, untold truths, and powerful disappearances. Bell, hit the bell, and we'll keep digging, so you don't have to.